program is The Active Center. It's created by David Sappe.
Pronounced Seppi.
Pronounced Seppi.
Hey, have you ever felt like your paycheck is just shrinking? Like it doesn't go as far as it used to? Well, there's a really important economic number that explains exactly why that happens. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something called the Consumer Price Index and see how it secretly pulls the strings on your wallet. All right, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? You're at the grocery store, you're filling up your car, and you just get this sinking feeling that the money in your bank account just isn't stretching like it used to. $100 today feels so different from $100 a year ago. Well, believe it or not, that feeling has an official name. Yep, it's called inflation. It's a pretty simple idea, really. It just means that, on average, prices for everything are going up. And when prices go up, every single dollar you have buys a little bit less. Your money's buying power is literally shrinking. So the big question is, how do economists actually measure this? How do they put a number on that feeling we all get? Well, they've got this really clever tool for tracking prices across the whole economy. And it all starts with something that sounds kind of simple: a basket. And that tool is the Consumer Price Index, or CPI for short. The best way to think about the CPI is like a thermometer for the economy. It's checking to see if we're running a fever, if prices are getting too hot, too fast. And trust me, this one number is a huge deal. It affects everything from the interest rate set by the Federal Reserve to how much Social Security payments go up, and it can even be the trigger for pay raises in some job contracts. So this basket thing, what's actually in it? Okay, I want you to picture a giant imaginary shopping cart. Every month, government statisticians go out and they fill this cart with the exact same list of stuff that a typical family buys. We're talking everything from a gallon of milk to a new car. Then they add up the total cost. By comparing the cost of that exact same cart of stuff from one month to the next, they get a super clear picture of how prices are changing. And let me tell you, this is not just a few groceries. This basket is packed with everything. I mean, sure, you've got your food and your milk, but it also includes the really big ticket items, like what you pay for housing or your car, plus things like medical care, clothes, even your phone bill and movie tickets. It's really designed to be a snapshot of life, everything we spend our money on. But here's a really important detail. Not everything in the basket counts the same. Just think about your own monthly budget, right? If your rent goes up by 10%, that's a huge deal. But if the price of a movie ticket goes up 10%, annoying for sure, but it doesn't break the bank. The CPI gets this. So the big expenses like housing and transportation are given more weight. That just means a price change for those things has a way bigger impact on the final number than the smaller stuff. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting, and it leads to a super important point. The CPI gives us this one big number for the entire country. But we all know that life doesn't cost the same everywhere, right? That national average might not match what's happening in your city. And that's because inflation and the cost of living, they're not actually the same thing. So let's break that down. Inflation, the thing the CPI measures, is all about time, is asking how much of prices changed from last year to this year. It's a national look at change over time. Cost of living, on the other hand, is all about place. It asks, how much more expensive is it to live in New York City compared to Omaha, Nebraska, right now? One is about time, the other is about geography. And getting this difference is absolutely key to figuring out what your money is really worth. This is super practical stuff, especially if you're ever thinking about taking a job in a new city or asking for a raise. Okay, let's put this to the test with a real-world question. Imagine you get 2 job offers, both for $50,000 a year. One is in Virginia, the other is in Massachusetts. The number on the paycheck is exactly the same, but is the value of that money the same? Is your lifestyle going to be the same? Well, thanks to the cost of living index, we can actually figure this out. And you're not going to believe how easy the math is. Seriously, all you need are the cost of living index scores for both places. First, you take the score for the new place, Massachusetts, and you divide it by the score for your current place, Virginia. Then, you just take that result and multiply it by your salary. That's it. And check this out. When you run the numbers, you find out that to have the exact same lifestyle in Massachusetts that you had with $50,000 in Virginia, you'd actually need to be making over $63,000. That is a massive difference. It just goes to show you how important it is to look past the dollar amount and understand the real numbers. So this whole idea of purchasing power brings us to one last really important concept, And that's the difference between what's called nominal value and real value. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Nominal is just the face value, the number you see on a paycheck or a price tag. But the real value, now that's what matters. It's what that money can actually buy after you account for inflation. Let's look at another example, your investments. So you open up your account at the end of the year, and wow, you see you made an 8% return. You're probably thinking, awesome. And that 8%, that's your nominal return. It's the number on the screen.
But hold on a second. Then you remember what we've been talking about. You check the CPI, and you see that inflation for that same year was 3%. What does that mean? It means the cost of basically everything you buy went up by 3%. It's like a silent tax that's been eating away at your investment gains.
So what's your real return? It's just 5%. That's the actual increase in how much stuff you can buy. See? If you only look at that 8% nominal number, you're getting a totally misleading picture of how you're actually doing financially.
All right, that was a lot of info, I know. So let's do a quick fire recap of the big ideas just to make sure they stick.
Okay, so remember, the CPI, that's just the price tag on that big imaginary basket of goods. Inflation is what happens when that price tag goes up, which means your money's buying power goes down. Deflation is the opposite, but it doesn't happen very often. And finally, nominal is the number on the surface, while real is the actual power that money has. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Now that you know how to figure out what your money is really worth, what are you going to look at differently? Maybe it's the next time you negotiate your salary, or how you set your goals for saving money, or even just how you look at the returns on your investments. Because at the end of the day, understanding the real value of your money, that's the first step to really being in control of your financial life.